I think the purpose behind it is to show you that there's really no magic pill for it, that it's actually more of a simple process than I think we believe it is. Sometimes we overcomplicate it. And that everybody has a unique style, and that there should be a style that you can relate to. So that said, Mark's been kind enough to agree to this mandatory presentation.
I love how you talked about self-doubt before this. I like how you teased that out. That was great.
So a little background before we jump into this. So the property, the subject property is in the La Quinta Cove. It is an expired listing. Is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, about 1,461 square feet. Was originally listed at $370. It expired at $345. So Mark's made the appointment, and now we're jumping into the listing presentation.
Can I add one thing?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
So for me and for my team, the hard work has already been done. Okay. So the fact that I'm sitting in front of this expired listing, there was a big process that went on before I ever got here. And that's, for me, that's really the hard work. The hardest part about getting in front of Heath today has already been done. So, you know, I have Chad and Ozzy, who are both ISAs on our team. And so what you don't see is hours and hours and hours of calling and scripts and practicing and tweaking and figuring out the best way to get me in front of Heath. That's where the hard work takes place. And that's already been done. And so I know, I see John in the back, and I'm sure John can attest that the hardest part about getting here is getting here. I mean, especially in our market today. Today, Chad, you had what, 3 expireds?
Yeah.
3 expireds today, and you know John Sloan's on the phone, you know John Allen's on the phone, you know everybody's on the phone trying to get in front of Heath. So the fact that I'm here is a testament to a process that already happened. And what we do is typically what will happen is Chad will make contact. Typically the person will say, well, that's, you know, I'm not ready today, or I'm going to be in town in 2 weeks. Can you send me some information? So Heath has already received what we call our pre-listing packet, okay? And in the pre-listing packet, it has a letter from me. It has our snapshot of the market snapshot, the most recent market snapshot. It has a couple of brochures, how to choose your real estate agent, how to sell your home, 4 steps to sell your home. It has a little notepad. And so Heath is already, and a CMA. And I do for the Cove, I would send a very broad CMA. I don't want to tell him what I think his house is going to be, what I want, list his house at in this packet. I want it to be really broad so that it makes him ask some questions, okay? So, I got here, and you've already received this.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right,
So you just to confirm a couple things here.
Yeah.
So you typically have this.
I mail that. I mail that through
Okay.
USPS.
Okay, you mail it. And then what's your conversion typically when on appointment to listing?
Appointment to listing. I mean, I have to qualify that a little bit.
Okay.
So we use a program called Offers. So Offers is a predictive analytical tool that predicts when somebody may be thinking about selling their home. So on those, it's actually fairly low.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I get in front of somebody, they may be thinking a year down the road,
Right.
6 to 8 months down the road. So my goal there, if we're talking about that particular database or lead source, is to get in front of someone so I can give them the packet, I can tee them up, I can show them what we do, so that when they're ready to make that decision, which may be 6 months down the road, I'm top of mind.
Mm-hmm.
So we add them to a postcard list. So every time we do a just listed, a just sold, you're getting a postcard. Okay, so that's Offers. So it's fairly
That's
low.
a lower percentage.
It's fairly low. It's probably, I mean,
They haven't really raised their hand
No,
that I want to sell my house today.
it's probably 30%.
Okay.
On the expired side, it's probably 70%. In terms of, you know, walking out of this meeting with a listing agreement.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit higher depending on how much, you know, work we've done on the front end. What I'm trying to communicate is that the real hard work has already gone on. So if Chad or if John Sloan does his job right when he's on the phone, he already knows going in the situation.
Mm-hmm.
So I already know what your situation is.
Right.
I know why you wanted it, so I have some basic
So you do some
information.
qualifying
Absolutely.
up front.
It's critical. Absolutely critical.
Does your presentation shift if you're not meeting them in person?
Like a telephone?
Yeah.
Not necessarily. No, I mean I think it's still. It's a good question. Not necessarily. No,
Okay.
I mean obviously there's a little more detail in this.
Yeah.
But again, I try to get this packet into everybody's hand.
Okay.
Because I think it's an impressive package. I want them to know who we are and what we do. And so I find it much easier when they have this package in their hands already when I meet with them, because they've already done a little bit of research and they know who I am and
Gotcha.
why I'm there. Okay?
Gotcha.
So,
Gotcha.
you ready?
Okay.
Ding dong.
All right.
Hi, Mark Wasserman.
Hi, Heath Ilgenberg.
Heath, nice to meet you. Before I come in, I just wanted to give you a couple things. This is my business card,
Okay.
My driver's license and my real estate license. I want you to know that I am an actual real estate agent. We didn't just call and show up. And so you can see that I'm a licensed agent, right?
You look a lot younger.
I was an old it's an old picture. It's an old picture. Is it okay if I come in?
Yeah, please do.
Fantastic,
Please.
thanks. Sorry, I'm an ex-cop, so I try to put people at ease when I walk in.
Oh, okay. I appreciate it.
So you and I talked a little bit on the phone, and I know you talked with Chad.
Yeah.
So why don't you give me a tour of the house? Do you have a couple of minutes to show me around?
Absolutely.
Okay, so we'll look at the house, blah, blah, blah. Come back to the kitchen table. You want to sit down?
Sure.
So tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, primarily, I'm a business owner. I own a engineering firm
Here locally?
here locally. Yes, and I bought this particular house. I think in a great time to buy a house, right?
Right.
05, 06, something like that. And so I've been renting it out ever since then, and really I'm just trying to get out what I have into it,
Sure.
and that's what I'm looking to accomplish.
And how much do you have into the house? So I ran the title. It looks like you owe about $205,000.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So when you say what you have into it, so you say you've been renting it since 05?
Yeah, I've been renting it since 05. It's been a good rental for
Okay.
me, which has been great. But I bought it in 05, I think for 370. So when I'm talking about I'd like to get out of it what I put in, I'd like to get 370 out of it.
Sure.
Because that's
Sure.
what I bought it for.
Sure. So tell me how you chose the last real estate agent that you worked with. And before you answer that, it looks like it was on the market for about 6 months, started in about February, right, and ended in August or so.
Yeah.
So tell me about, how did you choose that last agent?
They were actually referred to me by one of my employees.
Okay.
It was their cousin or
Okay.
brother-in-law or something like that. I can't.
And have you made a decision to put the house on the market again?
Yeah, that's my intention. Yeah. Right now, it's about. I don't want to go through another 6-month period like I did.
Right. And the
it was
renter-
because it was not. The expectation that was set was that it would sell, within 60 days or so.
I'm interested in finding a little bit more about that. You say the expectation. Who set that expectation?
The agent.
How did that agent? Do you know how that agent arrived at that price?
Um.
You said we.
Well,
sorry.
it was kind of like the conversation we're having where I said this is what I want to get out of it. So
Right.
that's what we priced it at, and then we dropped it
Right.
at some point. We dropped it, and the other issue that I had is for 6 months, I had it rented out, for those 6 months, and then he suggested that maybe we get rid of the tenant and have it vacant for a while. So we did that for a couple months. And we didn't get any offers there, so I put another tenant in there because I need to cover the mortgage on it.
Sure. And do you plan on having a tenant in? Is there a tenant in now?
There is now, but their lease is up. I think it was actually up in August. So I think there's month by month or whatever.
Okay. I have a few more questions, but I'd like to just take a moment and tell you about me. Is that okay? So
Great.
I actually grew up in Palm Springs, which is kind of rare. There aren't too many.
Oh, yeah.
Too many of us, especially at my age. Right? It's a long time ago, like 1970. And my dad was one of the original 7 at Eisenhower Medical Center. He's a physician, so he was one of the original 7 physicians at Eisenhower. He has emeritus status now, which I think gets him a free lunch every year or so. But anyway, and so I went away to college, came back. When I got out of college, I worked a couple of odd jobs, and then I became a police officer. I was a deputy sheriff and an investigator with the Riverside County Sheriff's Department. And I worked a variety of assignments. One was a public information officer, which was pretty interesting. Anyway, I had a bad back injury, some cascading effects that happened, 6 back surgeries. I don't want to bore you with all that detail. Anyway, so I ended up having to leave the department. And when I left, I made kind of a weird transition. I actually got into trash business, which I know from being a cop to the trash is kind of a strange transition.
Okay.
But when I was the public information officer, I dealt with a lot of the cities locally, and I knew all the staff, I knew all the council members, and so Waste Management was looking for someone to be their liaison to those folks, so I took that job. About 4 years later, I was traveling a lot, and it was just getting too much. My kids were little. And so then I took a job with the City of Indio, and I was the assistant to the city manager, worked on all kinds of projects. Actually got into real estate in the City of Indio. So as the assistant to the city manager, I was responsible for helping the city buy commercial property. So I was the liaison between a commercial realtor and the city. And I would make presentations to the council, and I did a bunch of other stuff.
Okay.
Anyway, so in 2010, when the market crashed and everything happened, they laid a bunch of us off, and I was one of those higher paid people that got laid off. So I got my real estate license.
Gotcha.
What's interesting about that is my wife had already gotten her license, and she had started working on short sales. So are you familiar with short sales?
Yeah, kind of. It's you owe more than
Right.
what the property's
So we
worth.
both cut our teeth in a very down market.
Okay.
And since that time, since about 2010, 2011, we've completed about 200 and some odd transactions.
Oh, wow.
A good majority of those have been short sales.
Okay.
I have personally worked on bank-owned properties. I've been both on the buyer and the seller with short sales. I've done a lot of equity sales, so I have a lot of experience. But what I think you'll be really interested in is that, and this is a map of the cove, and there are 54 homes on that map.
Okay.
And those represent all of the homes that we've sold in the La Quinta Cove since that time. So we've had 54 transactions in the cove. And if you turn the page, I gave you a list of all of the, if you go to the last page for me, it represents about $11,500,000 in total production just in the cove.
Just in the cove. Huh?
So would you agree that's a lot of homes in one particular area?
I would, yeah.
So I know, I don't necessarily specialize in one particular area. There's a lot of agents that specialize in Palm Springs or specialize in I don't really specialize. But I will say that I've completed a lot of transactions in the cove, and I've worked both with buyers and with sellers. So I know what buyers are looking for. I know the market very well. I know what prices are and what work and what don't. As a matter of fact, we have 2 in escrow right now. One's very similar to your property that I'll talk about in a minute.
Okay.
So that gives you kind of an idea of what we do locally.
Well, that's very impressive.
Do you have any questions so far?
No, I mean, I guess my initial concern when you were sharing with me that you've only been in the business since 2010 is that you haven't been in it all that long. But this, I mean, this shows the results.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And there's a National Association of Realtors statistic, and it says that the average real estate agent completes about 4 to 6 transactions a year. So as you can see, we're outpacing many of the agents in our business.
Sure.
About a year ago, I partnered with a gentleman by the name of Bob Lucido. Bob Lucido is the #1 Keller Williams agent in the world. Keller Williams has what I will call a corporate initiative where big agents like that, large agents that do tons of deals, can partner with boutique agencies in a local market and help them increase the marketing that's available to them, increase the kind of tools that we are provided to help you sell your home faster for top dollar and much quicker than we would if we weren't partnered with Bob Lucido. So that, I'll talk in a minute about that, but that's been...
So should I be talking to Bob then?
No, it's a good question. You should be talking to me. So that's a great question. That's a good question. And I know you kind of laugh, but a lot of people ask that, and they say, well, what exactly is the value of being involved with the Bob Lucido? So the value is this, that we are a local boutique agency with lots of local knowledge, lots of local sales, powered by the #1 Keller Williams agent in the world. So that relationship that I have with him and our business relationship provides me, unless you as a seller, with a tremendous amount of tools to help you get your home sold.
Okay, so you're capitalizing on his marketing and his tools.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So let's go back to you and what happened. So describe for me the 6-month period when your house was for sale with this other agent. And on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being you were just sticking your toe in the water.
Yeah.
You know, you wanted to test the market.
Yeah.
10 being you needed to sell that home tomorrow or last week. Where were you on that scale of 1 to 10?
I would say probably like an 8.
Okay.
You know, it wasn't. I'm sick of being a landlord. You know,
I understand.
I've had
It's
some
not
really bad experiences, and I'm just done with it.
Right.
But it's not a situation where if I don't sell it tomorrow,
Sure.
you know, I don't have to sell it, so
Sure.
to speak.
So you answered my next question, but I'm going to ask it anyway just to clarify. So it's been about 30 days since it expired.
Yeah.
Has anything changed? I mean, have you gone up on that scale? Has anything changed in your life where you're saying, you know what, I was here 9, now I'm a 9 or a 10? I mean, is there anything that's changed?
I mean, the urgency has probably changed slightly because I'm just sick of dealing with it.
Sure.
So, you know, I would say it probably has went up slightly because I don't want to have to go through another 6-month process.
Mhm.
Nor do I really want to, you know, get another tenant in there and that type of thing.
Sure. Are you talking to any other agents besides myself?
Yeah, I do. I have one other agent that I have spoke with
Okay.
already.
Okay. Have you made any decisions with respect to that agent in terms of listing the property?
No, I wanted to meet with you
Okay,
first.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. One of the things I want to cover, but I don't want to waste a lot of your time if you already know the answers, is I want to talk a little bit about the current market.
Okay.
So you're obviously very savvy. You know, are you familiar with what's going on in the market, or would you like me just to go over that a little?
Well, people I talk to have you know, and the agent I just interviewed have said it's a great time to sell. You know, that, you know, there are less homes on the market, that sales are robust, and that it's a good time to sell. So, you know, it sounds to me it's an even better time to sell than when I originally put it on the market.
I agree. I agree. And I think it also points to the fact that we've seen some great improvements in the market over the last couple of years. And this first sheet that I'll give you, that is a look at the city of La Quinta. So that's a year-over-year analysis of where we were. So this number here represents the change from last year. So we're up 13.9%.
So that prices are up?
Correct.
14%
We're
almost.
we're actually up from the low. We were just talking about the low in 2006, or the high in 2006. So we're 33% off of the
Ugh.
high in 2006.
Which is about
So we've
when I bought the house.
Right, right. But the good news is that we're at the height of the current market. Now, does that make sense? So in terms of the market going up today, we're at the highest point that we're
Yeah,
at.
I mean, if you look at this, La Quinta's outpacing every other
Right,
city, right?
exactly.
Okay.
Now, if you turn to the next page, this gives you an idea of home sales by city. So you can see that La Quinta has robust sales. That's a 3-month period.
Okay.
Blue is this year, gold, if you will, or yellow, whatever that is. Orange was last year at this time over that 3-month period. So 124 to 114 if you go to the next page. This is by price range, and so you were about mid-3s, right? So
Yeah.
at mid-3s, we're at 179. Look, I'm reading this upside down.
Okay.
And then blue, 243 for 200.
So this is where
Correct.
the most of the homes are selling in that
Exactly.
price range.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then let's look at the last page. So this is what, let's look at this one.
Yeah.
So this is exactly what you were just talking about. So you were saying that you know, now's a great time to sell your home. So we are at historic, for the last couple of years, lows in terms of inventory. So that number that I circled, what's that number?
3182.
So 3182 was the amount of listings that we had last month. Now, if you
So this is
look,
the total amount of homes that are on the
that
market.
are on the market.
Okay.
So if you look at this chart, you can see that, you know, typically from September through January, February, we see a rise in listings. That's pretty typical, right?
Yeah.
And so
That's what
yeah.
the previous agent I had, that's what they said, is that, you know, you're gonna see more activity during
Right.
the season.
Right. So let me you can put that down. So let me ask you a question. In terms of price, okay, you had it at 370,
Yeah.
right? You lowered it to 350. In that time, how many showings did you have during that time?
Gosh, we probably had, over the whole 6 months, I don't know, maybe 20,
20?
something like that.
Okay. Do you remember if it was at the 370 or the 350? I know there's a couple of adjustments.
We got more activity at 350. At 370, it was not shown very often.
Okay.
Plus, there was a tenant, so there had to be notice
Right.
For anybody to show it.
Okay. And what did you appreciate about that agent? What were there some things that he did, she did that you appreciated, that you liked?
Yeah, he was. He always returned my calls.
Okay.
He was nice.
Okay.
I guess at the end of the day, I appreciated that. What I wish would have probably been a little different is, I need to know what it would take to get the house sold.
Okay. What did he tell you?
That he kind of skirted around it all the time.
Explain that.
Well, I would just, we got into the 60 to 90 days that he said it should have been sold in, and I basically said, what do we need to do to get this sold?
Mm-hmm.
And, he said, well, we could try, to address the price a little bit more. And I mean, I'm kind of the one that came up with the 350
Mm-hmm.
as far as the price went, but it was, I like to shoot straight. And I think you do too. And so I wish he would have, just shot straight with me and said, look, to get your house sold in the next 60 to 90 days, this is what needs to be done.
Good. To get your house sold in the next 60 to 90 days, you need to lower the price to 320.
320?
Yes. And let me tell you why.
Okay.
So let's look at the comparables. Okay. So what I've done is I've taken all of the La Quinta Cove. Okay. I took out homes with pools because this home doesn't have a pool.
Right.
Okay, so I took out homes with pools
Okay.
because in the Cove, just two things, or I shouldn't say two. There's a couple things. And as I mentioned, out of those 50 some odd sales, I've worked with probably about half of those are buyers.
Okay.
So what do you think a buyer is looking for in the La Quinta Cove?
Probably they're looking for a home that it probably doesn't need a lot of work. I mean, they're probably looking for a home to live in, I'm assuming,
Mm-hmm.
right? Are most of the people that live up here, do they?
Well, it's
they live in
an
home?
interesting mix. So we have quite a few people who are Canadian. They're in Washington. They might be in Oregon. They like to come out for the season.
Oh, okay.
We have a lot of seasonal residents.
Okay.
We have rentals.
Okay.
We have, I say we, my wife and I have an investor who owns about 40 properties in the Cove. So we
Oh.
have it's a mixed bag.
Okay.
There's investors. There's
Okay.
there's homeowners. There's renters. But when I say the question I'm asking,
They want a
is-
good deal then, probably, right?
even more than that.
Okay.
When somebody buys a home in the La Quinta Cove, they're buying a lifestyle. Okay? They want, and I can tell you, 9 out of 10 buyers that I work with, when I open the front door, the first thing they do is they go out to the backyard.
Oh,
Then they come into the kitchen,
okay,
and then they go to the bedrooms.
okay.
People that come to the desert want that experience. They
Yeah.
want to be outside, and your backyard is beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's good. Was there any criticism of the house, or was there any negatives about the house that the buyers told you, or that you were told that the buyers said?
Not really. The house is in good shape. I think it shows well. Like you said, the backyard is really the
Right.
focal point there. They just didn't buy it.
Right. Well, it's because it's priced too high, in my humble opinion.
Okay.
So let's take a look at this. So these are all of the active listings, okay? So these two at 390, 379, and 365, those are brand new construction.
Okay.
No pool, brand new construction, quartz countertops.
Oh, wow.
I mean, just everything you could ever want in a home. So I want to eliminate those from our actives.
Okay.
The next lowest price active is at 349. Okay, this one is another one that has been completely redone.
Mhm.
You don't have granite.
Right.
Your bathrooms are a little bit redone, but for the most part, there's no carpeting in this particular house. It's a lot of tile.
Okay.
It's
So it's
presents
more
with-
upgraded than
It's
mine.
more upgraded than yours.
Okay.
So the next active is at 3049. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but actives, we call them the dreamers, right? So
Mhm.
they're looking for a particular price that they may or may not get at some point. All right. What I like to focus on is the contingent and the pending.
Okay.
So contingent means that they're in a contingency period, they haven't removed those contingencies, they're doing their inspections and things like that. Pending means that they're good to close escrow. Okay,
Okay.
so they've removed those contingencies and they're moving forward. The highest contingent property without a pool, and I'm eliminating, I'm not even talking about square footage, I'm talking about in all of the.
Oh, so this is in all
This
of
is everything.
Oh.
This is 315,000.
Oh, wow, okay.
Okay? The highest pending property is at $320,000. That just happens to be my listing. It's on Portrero. And it's actually in escrow at 310. Don't tell anybody I told you.
Okay.
That's between you and me. So we have two properties that are the highest, right? 315
Yeah.
and 310.
Yeah.
Okay? So those are the highest. Now let's take one more look at the solds.
Okay.
So when we look at the sold properties, so these are the ones that we know have sold. There was a buyer and a seller, and they came to an agreement on a price, and the house sold, right? Okay?
Yeah.
Simple economics.
So these have closed.
The highest in all of La Quinta is $322,500.
And that's of
And
all
all of the code-
homes that don't have pools.
All homes that don't have pools in the code is $322,500. Now let me talk about this one on Portrero.
Okay.
The one on Portrero is about 1,680 square feet. It's kind of a bare hair. It doesn't have a yard. It's on a corner lot. It has gold fixtures. It hasn't been upgraded. Okay. We got an offer in 4 days. We were in escrow in 4 days on that. Okay.
This is the one that he says 310?
It was at we priced it at 320.
Okay.
And it's in escrow at 310.
Okay.
I think there's a really good property. Let me back up. There is a really good property. It's on Avenida Herrera, okay? So this is very, very similar to yours. It's about 1,400 square feet. If you look through the pictures, it's similar to yours.
Yeah.
It's been upgraded a little bit more because you have carpet throughout the house. This has tile. You have a different kind of countertop. This has granite. So that one sold at 312. Okay. Now, there's the one difference is that you're high up in the cove. Okay, so you're almost to the top of the cove,
Yeah.
which does get a premium, a little bit of a
Yeah,
premium.
yeah.
Okay, and you have that backyard, which is
Yeah.
terrific. So I actually think this is the best comparable out of all the homes that have been sold in the last 6 months. Would you agree that this is a very similar home in scope?
Yeah, I mean, it's built about the same time. It's about the same size lot and everything. You know, they can do a lot with these pictures, though.
Right, right. I've actually been in it, and it's a nice home. It's not any nicer than yours. It's
Yeah.
on the same par.
Yeah.
You're a little bit higher up in the. That's why I say if you were going to list this property today,
Yeah.
I would list it at $320,000, and I would expect an offer very, very quickly. Now, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, so, okay. Now, the other agent that I spoke with, he was making a suggestion of 349, of keeping it under 350, because of how little inventory there is.
Did he take you through this exercise? Did he show you?
No, not in this detail, no.
Do you think you're an educated man? You own a business. Would you pay $349,000 for a house that should be priced in the?
Well, I paid 370.
Right.
for it.
Yeah. Get over it. But you did. That's a good point. But you've owned the house for 12 years, right? And
Yeah.
you've had rental income for
Yeah.
that entire 12 years. How much money did you make off that house? That's just a ballpark figure.
Well, I probably.
Plus depreciation,
I never thought about
right?
that.
You
Yeah.
have an accountant that
Yeah.
depreciates.
I mean, I made money on it.
Right. So let's just say you even broke even,
Yeah.
right? Okay. So
Yeah.
I mean, let's just say that.
Yeah.
Look, the reality is that if you want to sell this house, you have to price it aggressively. And but when I say aggressively, I mean it's priced well. This one sold for $312,500.
Yeah.
It's a very similar.
You said the one that you have in escrow right now. How soon did you get an offer on it?
About 4 days, 4 or 5 days, very quickly, and we're getting ready to close on Monday. Now let me tell you about another one too. So I sold another one about 4 months ago, low in the cove. Okay, a pool. We listed it at $319 and sold for $329 in 2 days. That was upgraded, had a pool, but that gives you an idea. So that was $330. You don't have a pool. We're at $320. So we actually are pricing it a little bit more aggressively based
Yeah.
on the market.
Yeah.
But there's not a tremendous amount of inventory as we've discussed.
Sure.
And I think that's what you have. Listen, if you want to sell the home, you got to price it at 320. I mean, that's
Okay.
and that's my opinion.
Yeah.
But here's what I would say about that other agent.
Yeah.
Okay, if you decide that I'm not the guy for you, and I think I am, if you decide to go with that other agent, here's a suggestion. What I would say to the other agent, I would say, okay, other agent, I'm gonna sign the listing agreement at 349. But if you come to me with one price reduction, I get to cancel this contract.
Wow.
On the spot, and make sure his broker signs it too, because and see the reaction that you get. We are in a very low inventory situation, so there are a lot of agents who are going to try to get listings with the idea of getting you to lower it as fast as they can to get down to this 320 mark.
So would you agree to that?
No, I would not.
You wouldn't agree?
No, the 349.
No, would you agree to having
Oh,
that
I'm sorry.
language in your agreement?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, no question.
Okay.
Yeah, no question. Are you ready to sign the
Well, in
agreement?
the
I have-
interest
I have
of
it.
time, let's move forward.
That was too easy.
I want to make sure, these guys are going to have questions,
Yeah,
so I
yeah.
want to make sure we have time for questions. Because you did some very cool